There are people who think they are the center of the world, but when they mess with the wrong person, they end up getting into trouble. That is what happened with a woman who received the wrong order at a fast food restaurant. Instead of asking for it to be corrected, she started yelling at the employees and breaking everything until she realized she was embarrassing herself. And that is the kind of situation you're going to see now. Needing to fix or renovate the floor of a place, someone hired a few workers for the job. However, they did not pay by the agreed deadline, which ended up causing an even bigger problem than the initial repair costs. Upset about the lack of payment, the workers decided to act on their own. In a video circulating on social media, one of the workers records the scene while his colleagues destroy the newly laid floor in an outdoor area. During the recording, he encourages a colleague named to throw a tile against a wooden fence. Another worker, holding a sledgehammer, attacks parts of the fence, taking it apart. With each new angle captured by the camera, the damage becomes more evident. The floor is covered with debris, with pieces of tile and wood scattered everywhere. The person recording the video emphasizes his point very clearly, showing what can happen when workers do not receive their payments. The main targets of the rage were the newly laid floor and several fences, turning the area into a true scene of destruction. Some people simply do not know when to stop. In August of 2021, a 37-year-old man caused huge trouble at a gas station in the city of Sobral, in the state of Ceará in Brazil. During service, he completely lost control and started arguing with an attendant. But he did not stop there. He grabbed a piece of wood and began hitting the ground and the gas station structure while shouting threats, challenging the attendant. However, when a military police patrol car showed up, the tough guy decided he was not so brave after all. He quickly got in his car and tried to escape, but it did not work out. The officers chased and captured him, taking him straight to the Sobral Regional Police Station. After this entire display of fury, he was released and will respond to the charges while free. The gas station chose not to comment on the incident. While filming at the beach, a prankster named Seth decided to test other people's patience by pulling a prank that was not at all funny. He approached a couple, completely ignored the man, and asked the woman for her phone number, acting like her partner did not even exist. She politely explained that she was there with him. Seth apologized and left, but the story was far from over. As he turned around, the young man revealed the real intention of his approach. He was wearing a t-shirt with a not-so-subtle message, something like, "Your husband is a wimp." The couple noticed the provocation and started talking about it. The husband, who was already annoyed by the initial audacity, got even more irritated with the message displayed on Seth's shirt and decided to demand an explanation. He told him to pick up his camera and leave, even threatening to call the police. The confusion got even bigger when, in a fit of anger, the husband grabbed Seth's very expensive $600 microphone and threw it into the sea. The guy went into despair, dropped to his knees on the sand, and started screaming "No!" repeatedly, as if he were in a dramatic movie. Meanwhile, one of Seth's friends was filming everything, capturing every detail of the mess. Still unsatisfied, Seth returned to argue with the woman, but the police soon arrived to end the commotion. Both he and the cameraman were kicked off the beach. Apparently, the driver of a Gull irritated a trucker by getting in the way of his passing maneuver. To make things worse, he even gave him the finger, which was enough for the truck driver to decide to take revenge in a very unfriendly way. The trucker began to speed up, keeping the front of the truck right on the car's tail, but without hitting it. Having a multi-ton giant pressed against the back of a vehicle is no comfort. If the Gull driver made any unexpected move, the risk of an accident would be extremely high. Realizing the aggressive approach, the Gull driver started to get visibly nervous. With each second, the truck got closer, almost pushing the car forward. Meanwhile, the trucker hurled several insults, making it clear he was trying to scare the Gull's driver. The video captured the tense scene, with the trucker maintaining the chase. The atmosphere got darker by the second, with the truck pressuring the smaller car on the road, while the Gull's driver probably regretted having provoked the situation because he messed with the wrong person. Looking through the peephole of his apartment door, a man realized his neighbor was trying to force his way in. With the attempted break-in, the door was making noises, which was not easy to hide. Everything seemed to be going smoothly for the intruder until the apartment owner decided to take action. He opened the door at the exact moment the intruder was pushing the lock, and the neighbor fell into the apartment, unable to keep his balance. As soon as he hit the floor, he tried to defend himself by saying he was not doing anything. The apartment owner was not buying it and used a hand to confront the intruder physically. Ridiculously, the intruder tried to justify himself with lame excuses, claiming he was not attempting to break into his neighbor's apartment. To make things worse, he said his own door was broken and that he wanted to test if he could break down the other one before using the same tactic on his place. Throughout their exchange, he was treated to the owner's hand on his bald head several times, while he tried to escape the embarrassing situation he himself had created. In Almaty, a city in Kazakhstan, a truck showed up stuck to the rear of an SUV, dragging it down the street without any ceremony. Some people ran after the damaged vehicle, but no one seemed able to stop the unusual scene. Apparently, the SUV driver did something that really angered the trucker to end up being treated like that. However, there are other possible explanations for what happened. The video was posted on YouTube, and the comments were a show in themselves. Some users suggested it could be an attempt to start the SUV by pushing it with the truck, which was clearly an ironic remark. Others, however, praised the trucker, implying he was just delivering justice for some wrong maneuver by the SUV driver. Traffic in Almaty is quite a mess. Drivers ignore rules, make dangerous passes, and do not respect pedestrians. Also, the streets are always jammed, and many people park any way they like, making things worse. With all that, the sight of a truck pushing an SUV might not even seem that unusual there. In the midst of chaotic traffic, an unusual scene grabbed the attention of drivers and went viral. Rede Massa, a Brazilian broadcaster, reported the case in 2018. In the middle of the street, three women were in a confrontation, while a car with its door open sat parked right in front of them. On the asphalt, a blonde woman tried to pull herself together while facing a determined opponent. Nearby, a third woman involved just watched the chaos, but at one point, she seemed to pick up the fallen young woman's phone. All the while, drivers around them were honking non-stop, watching the chaotic situation. The blonde, still a bit dizzy, walked to her own vehicle, which was parked a little farther back, and got in. It seems the blonde wanted to confront the other woman, and the argument quickly turned into a physical altercation. In the end, one of them ended up on the ground and apparently lost her phone. The strangest part is that the fight ended with no explanation. Some people think they own the world, but they sometimes learn the hard way that is not the case. In June of 2022, a shocking event took place in Goiânia, the capital of Goiás in Brazil. Food delivery worker Davi dos Santos Mesquita was mistreated by a customer for no reason, and it was all caught on camera. The story began with a simple food delivery order through an app. The problem was that the customer, Gabriel Pereira Camarão, did not include his apartment number when placing the order. To make matters worse, he did not answer his phone or respond to Davi's messages, leaving him waiting for 15 minutes at the building's entrance. Since nobody showed up, the delivery platform automatically canceled the order. Gabriel lost his temper. Furious over a situation he had caused himself, he went down to the lobby and, out of nowhere, used a closed hand to confront Davy. The incident was caught on video and quickly spread through messaging groups, stirring outrage among delivery workers. On the same day, numerous workers from that sector gathered in front of the building to protest against the violence. Davy filed a police report, hoping that the authorities would take action. The case was investigated, but incidents against delivery workers did not stop there. Many workers have already reported episodes similar or even worse than what Davy experienced. Usually, a real fight involves punches, shoving, and lots of shouting, but these two seemed more interested in showboating than actually throwing down. On one side, a young guy in white, full of energy, making gestures as if he were going to attack. On the other, an older man in blue holding a square yellow object, cursing and telling the young guy to get lost. The young man followed him closely, staring but without touching him. Then he finally got the nerve and lightly smacked near the older man's face. That was all it took. The man struck back with the object he was holding. Right afterward, the young guy was on the ground. He got up quickly and backed away, while the older man tried to strike again. But the older man ended up tripping and fell on his own in the street. The fight continued with both simply provoking each other. The young man pretended he would go after him, but did nothing. The older man cursed and threatened him, but also did not advance. In the end, it was a confusing scuffle with lots of shouting, insults, and very little action. If they were trying to fight, neither of them did it right. A showdown where nobody won, just one fell before the other. Traffic is already complicated, but some people manage to make it worse. In the western zone of Sao Paulo in Brazil, in 2023, a driver found himself in trouble after getting into an accident and stopping his car right in the bus lane. What should have been just a traffic jam turned into a huge mess, complete with shouting and even vehicle vandalism. The bus driver, already out of patience, got angry seeing the lane blocked and, together with some passengers, decided to sort things out in the worst way. Encouraged by the bus operator, several passengers got off and confronted the man in the car. The argument heated up, and things only got worse. One of the passengers even opened the car door of the driver with some unfriendly intentions, while others went after the car to cause damage. After the general chaos, the man pulled the car out of the lane, and the bus went on its way as if nothing had happened. Later, Sao Paulo Transporte Sociedade Anônima, SP-Trans, stated that it had recorded the incident and that the company responsible for the bus would take action against the bus driver. As for the other people involved, they disappeared without a trace. Out of control, a soccer fan decided to cause total chaos during a match. He ran down the stands and, without thinking twice, jumped over the handrail of the staircase, trying to get onto the field. However, he did not count on some people who were ready to stop him. One of them managed to grab his foot before he finished his jump, causing him to fall in a completely awkward way. What nobody expected, though, was for the fan to land in a moat around the field, full of water that reached his knees. Although the fall was a disaster, the water seems to have helped, preventing him from getting injured. The scene drew the attention of several spectators, who rushed over to see what had happened. Two men ran to help the fan out of the water, but the crowd showed no mercy and started shouting insults in Spanish, making fun of the man who was now soaking wet. The embarrassment did not end there, as some people recorded everything and shared it on social media, making the incident even more humiliating. Certainly, he never imagined his attempt to invade the field would end in such a bizarre way. At Santa Casa de Araraquara in the state of Sao Paulo in Brazil, a lady got into a mess that went viral on social media. She was accompanying a patient in the hospital when she began trying to feed and medicate other inpatients incorrectly. The nurse noticed she was giving sugary coffee to diabetic patients and confronted her. The companion did not like the nurse's interference at all and started insulting the employee, being disrespectful. Trying to solve the situation, the nurse asked the woman to leave the hospital. However, she refused and insisted she had the right to be there because she paid taxes. The military police were called in to contain the situation. The video circulating on social media shows the lady disrespecting the officer for several minutes, swearing and even spitting on the law enforcement agent. She was handcuffed and taken to the police station, where she was charged with contempt. The woman's family explained that she was experiencing a psychotic episode due to a depression crisis, which caused her aggressive behavior. After receiving an incorrect order at a fast food restaurant, a woman lost her temper and started yelling at the clerk. The employee tried to remain calm, but soon matched her energy and yelled back. A man, who knew the angry customer, tried to step in and asked her to stop, gently pulling on her. However, she ignored him and kept up her tantrum. At some point, her dress got twisted around her body and revealed more than it should have. Driven by her rage, she broke away from the man and returned to the counter. There, she continued shouting at the other employees and even threatened the clerk, saying she would lose her job. Things got more and more tense, with more employees appearing behind the counter, while the woman was completely out of control. She started breaking items on the counter, putting even the safety of those around her at risk. In the end, realizing things were about to get worse for her, the woman decided to leave in a pretty cowardly way. The entire uproar caused a big commotion, but ultimately, it turned into just another one of those bizarre scenes. The YouTube channel Territorio Aleatorio posted a video showing a fight between two men, one inside a white car and the other outside it. The driver had asked for a quote to fix his car, and the mechanic did the job as agreed, but the payment never came. Tired of waiting, the worker decided to collect his money in a very different way. To ensure the customer could not escape without paying, the mechanic parked his own car in front of the customer's vehicle, blocking the exit. This made the debtor furious. Without thinking about the consequences, he started the car and accelerated, hitting the front of the mechanic's vehicle. Seeing the damage, the mechanic decided to fight back. In the end, the driver was left with the front of his vehicle wrecked and still had the debt to pay. As for the mechanic, who knew how to fix cars, he could probably repair the damage he had caused himself. While a young elephant was calmly feeding on leaves, a woman decided to get near it. without thinking about the possible consequences of her action. This elephant, weighing between 300 and 1,000 kilos, was not exactly a domestic pet, and she did not seem to realize it. At the beginning of the video, she appeared excited, pointing at the elephant that was chewing on a tree leaf. Her partner, who was filming, captured every moment. When she spotted another elephant a bit farther away, she pointed it out to the camera. However, as she got closer to the young elephant, things took an unexpected turn. She made a gesture as if to show the length of the elephant's trunk, but the animal, already tired of her presence, reacted abruptly, pushing her away. Startled, she fell to the ground, but quickly got up without serious injury. The elephant made it clear it was not interested in interacting, showing that its patience had limits. A 65-year-old woman named Deborah Hamill found herself in a lot of trouble after trying to get out of a ticket for a broken headlight. The ordeal began when a police officer pulled her over in Cashin, Oklahoma because of a broken taillight. The officer did his job and handed her a citation for $80. But Deborah did not like that at all and decided she was not going to pay. She got angry, refused to sign the warning, and to make things worse, started the car and drove away. Of course, the officer did not let it slide and began pursuing her. After a few minutes of a chase, Deborah stopped the car, but she would not get out. The officer, seeing she was being difficult, pulled her out of the vehicle by force, and then things really got ugly. Still refusing to cooperate, Deborah even tried to kick the officer, and the law enforcer was forced to use a taser. She was arrested, facing charges of resisting arrest and another offense related to her attempt to strike the officer in a hostile manner. In the end, she made it clear she did not like being treated that way, but the officer responded that if she had just signed the ticket, none of this would have happened. Someone was filming two motorcyclists on their bikes, while there was a vehicle with its trunk open nearby. The two riders were burning rubber, which is when a biker revs the engine hard while staying in place, causing the tire to skid on the ground and create smoke due to friction, burning the tire. This is done to show off the rider's skill, make a visual impact, or even just for fun, which is questionable motivation. Suddenly, the guy next to the car started burning rubber, and the smoke rose, catching the attention of the rider behind the car. He decided to do the same. But when he accelerated too much, what seemed like just another stunt turned into a disaster. The rider lost control of the bike, which ended up crashing into the parked car. Both the car and the motorcycle were damaged, but the rider was fine, as he managed to jump off in time. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.